Hey, are we on?
Yeah.
Is that red light mean we're on? I'm going to come up with 10 things that people say to ask if the show has begun. Are you rolling? And that doesn't even make any sense because that's based on tape rolling, right?
Sure. No, you're rolling. You're still rolling when you shoot digital.
Have we started yet? That's another one.
That's 4.
Are you recording this? Have I said that one already?
No, not nail on the head, no.
Did you get any of this so far?
6.
Hey, what's up with that? What's up with the red light? Does that indicate that there's some kind of a situation going on?
This is like the first draft
7.
of Cyrano de Bergerac.
You could have said my notice to the first. You could have said, well, sir, you could have said, I'll come back tomorrow with other things you could have said.
Right.
I always thought that was a true story.
Your nose is so large, it bears out brainstorming.
Oh, my God. Seeing you, I think people are lucky they couldn't see you do that with your Joe Cocker-like presentation.
It was more flourishy.
Yeah, you kind of went like this. Whenever anybody wears a shirt that has 3 buttons in the middle that button down,
yeah.
I always tell them we've cut the Joe Cocker sketch. Because he wore that in the Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
And they go, huh?
They don't know.
Right.
No one knows. That's the problem. That's the problem with the kids today. They don't know bad references that I can't let go of.
Somebody commented on the internet how excited they were to have both members of a podcast know a Ken Berry reference.
That was very good.
Yeah.
That was another one I meant to respond to. Did you notice? Oh, there are 2 improvements that you should have noticed since our last thing. 2 things you wanted done that happened. Or one thing at least.
You tweeted instead of just retweeted about our show. That's good.
Well, I went to my unpaid intern today.
Right.
I have a whole Twitter unpaid intern team.
Sure.
I have people who just live in my house.
Yeah.
And they're unpaid. And they're not going to school. I have people who are...
They need you in Houston.
Oh, that's right.
Or just outside.
Houstonians. So
I actually looked online today to see if we actually had people in Texas listening, and we do. I couldn't break it down by city, but all those listening, I hope you're safe and dry, and I hope your lives get back in order soon.
Very good, Josh. That's the first Johnny on the spot message to people out there. Hey, and
it'll indicate how far ahead we taped this episode.
Right. Is this episode? Tepid.
It's the Tepid. Maybe that might be better than test show.
Tepid zone.
It's the Tepid zone.
Tepid 17.
Another Tepid zone of Thought Spiral.
It's not quite true because it would be better if episode was spelled epid-sode.
Yeah, no, it's not the OCD nail on the head pun, but it is. That's the second time I've used nail on the head tonight.
Well, you know why? Because you're hitting the nail on the head.
Wow.
You know, when you're a hammer, everything is a hammer. No, when you're a hammer, everything is a nail.
Right.
When you know what else is true? When you're a screwdriver, everything is a screw. When you're a screwdriver that has a Phillips head.
If I had a hammer, I'd hire a guy to use it. All over this land.
You know, I used to love Woody Guthrie, and I do still love him, but I don't think I need to hear any of those songs anymore. I don't care whose land. Enough already with whose land is what land.
Why can't we get past that?
These lands are the wet. It's obvious now that these lands are not our lands.
Right.
They were not made. They may have been made for you or me, but if you go 3 feet closer to that property line, you'll get shot in the head. But his point was, he had 2 points in that song. He wanted to show that he could go from this to that, from the mountains to the green light prairies to the I know that's wrong. To the here's my way of singing off. No, I know it's off tune, but I'm planning it. To the ocean
and off words, but otherwise it's the song.
The ocean's white with foam.
No, different song.
He doesn't say white with foam.
No.
Oh, that's God Bless America. Okay, as I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw below me.
I saw above me that golden skyway.
Oh, what do you see below me?
The Golden Valley.
But you know what I forgot? About how close I was to the edge. Ah! That's a version of the song.
That was the very last verse.
How come this isn't a field? Now.
The song Destruction.
I can hear, every time I come here, I can hear your wife adjusting her sleep number. What is yours? You have these are real laughs too. Although right at the end, I start to realize
It's like you need adjustment a little bit more to get back to the mic. We did a podcast in Minneapolis the other day together, and,
Yes.
and Andy was wearing a headset mic, and so he kept trying to lean into it, and it kept going away from him when he leaned in. It was like Jewish water torture for Andy.
It was so terrible. I don't like that mic. Do you like it?
No, I don't like that.
You're the only one, Mr. Big Shot, who had a small little. First of all, we did our podcast live.
We've done a lot of podcasts
in Minneapolis
in the last week,
and just to show you,
you've heard it already. You've heard the live show already. Hopefully, you enjoyed it.
Oh, they did?
This will be.
Why can't I get a simple fact together? Because I heard you last week go, maybe we'll do 2 shows this week, is the way you talk. Maybe we'll do 2 shows this week, and the live show will be a bonus show. Do we look like an organization that has bonuses?
No.
We look like an organization.
You talked me out of being generous. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're more like the post office. We should come out on New Year's and Christmas. I don't mean people at the post office don't work hard. That was not what I said.
I think that's what you said.
I'm not one of those people. I am not one of those people who wants there to be who's complaining about the post office where it's like, how much is it to mail a letter? Forever. It's forever.
It's forever. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that amount.
That person came up with a good idea.
Yeah.
Who said, you know what? Sell them and they'll always be. This is it. That's the thing. Because in the old days, I have at home 500 2-cent stamps, 150 the funnier number stamps.
It actually would have been, had you bought a shit ton of Forever stamps at the beginning of the Forever stamp thing, it would have been a legitimately good return on your investment.
Oh, that is the most ridiculous thing you've ever said.
I'm not saying that it would have been a smart way to use your money.
Okay, well,
because the resale possibilities of Forever stamps are low. I'll give you that.
No, it's not.
But if you had set up a secondary market for your stamps and you bought a bunch in 1999 or whatever.
The only way it could make sense as a business move, and I think it is a good business move, is if you know when they first started it, that you're going to use stamps for the next 20 years, which we should have known. And then you should buy like 1,000 of them at 30 cents and be still...
I'm talking bigger numbers than that.
Really. 1 million of them.
Yeah.
Well, you are always thinking, you're more of a business guy.
Right.
But people do trade in currency. They do that all the time.
Indeed.
Excuse me, I'm burping. I don't mean to burp. And I also don't mean to draw attention to it. But otherwise, it sounds like you're crazy. So this is the first time I lost where I am. I'm not high. We had a big discussion. For those of you who don't listen religiously, and as I say, listening religiously, wear a yarmulke. Is that if you've been listening to our show every week, then you know that I just forgot what
you know that Andy sometimes.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Now, see, I think I should now drink more pot. This is no pot in here. Now I think I should eat more edibles. I'm no better.
Yeah.
I was no better at all, right? You claimed that the reason why I was terrible was because I was high.
No.
Now
I'm
terrible.
No, I didn't. That is not how it all went down.
I am terrible.
That I'm not disputing.
Well, who can host a pop
But
show?
your conclusion based on my assessment isn't right.
Okay, but here's what you get. Andy high over Andy sober. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, my mouth is so dry. Is your mouth dry?
Yeah, that's the only difference.
Yeah. No. Or what were we talking about again?
Yes. Over and over and over.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
And also, I get more deflated when I'm high during the podcast.
Yeah.
As a podcast guest, nobody funnier than me. Hi.
Yeah. There's no reason not to as a guest.
I've been trying to do more braggadocio style comedy, like with me and you.
Yeah.
But I lose the what's it called?
The will to
desire.
live.
Well, it's just I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't I can't have like a ongoing relationship with someone like Carl Pilkington.
All right.
I couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, I can't, what fun is it if my goat is that easily gotten on a weekly basis?
But also that show where Carl Pilkington goes around the world.
Yeah.
One day, what if he dies? They go, go into that volcano, Carl. What if he dies? Do you think everyone will feel bad?
Ricky Gervais won't feel bad.
Why not?
Because he's heartless.
Now, do they still do that show? You don't know. You don't watch anything.
I just heard someone talking about there's a new season of it, and they were this was on NPR. In fact, I was driving to the airport in Minneapolis. They were talking about it, and they were sort of like, I didn't really think they needed a second one, but that one was okay. But I really don't know if they needed a third one. And then the other person was like, I didn't think they needed a second one, and I didn't like the second one, but I kind of like the third one. So.
Do people talk that way, or
yeah,
do you think
it's NPR? So you know.
Oh, okay. Because I really feel. Have you thought of taking my impressions workshop?
Have you thought of taking my impressions workshop?
That's not the way I sound.
It's
Josh.
not at all.
Josh.
What?
Hi. First of all, I
was doing because you were late for the live show. The
okay,
other
so
night.
everybody,
I was doing your voice during sound check, and people walked in, and I was behind a pillar, and they really thought it was you. So,
now here's the thing: we stopped, and I have a bone to pick with you. Not, I don't really, but it'd be nice if just for the tension, if I had a bone to pick with you.
All right.
Here's my bone to pick with you. I don't want to come back at 5:00 for the 5:30 show. We did a podcast in the afternoon, and then you said, well, when should I get back here? Like 5:15? You said no earlier. Well, let's let it go that I didn't even get back at 5:15.
Right.
But why?
Why should we? If you're bashing on me for asking you to come.
Well, because
here's
stuff came up.
Okay. Yeah, because you're never late for a call time, Andy. Let me do my little impression that I took away from last week. Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Kindler. Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Kindler.
Is he here?
Is he here?
Is he here?
Is he really?
Is Andy here?
He's not here.
He's
yet?
not here when his name is called.
Andy Kindler.
This is the first time in my entire career. Well, I can't call it a career. Let's just call it a debacle. The entire time.
The 30-year debacle. The Andy Kindler story.
People are getting mad at me sometimes. Not really, but they're getting mad at me for putting myself down.
Yeah.
Well, what would you do if you looked at my life?
Do you think I didn't build it? By the way, at the 5:00, 5:15 thing, do you think I didn't build in some cushion for you being late when I gave you a good time?
Right, but I was almost going to text you and tell you that I was running later than your Nazi-like schedule. Right. What is the first of all?
Aggressive passive aggression. Why don't you just fucking say it when I asked you what time?
First of all, I noticed you were late one day, and I was the happiest thing I've ever seen in my life. We were supposed to meet at noon.
Right. And
that was the same day.
I was checking out of the hotel, and there was a bunch of idiots.
This still doesn't mean anything.
There were idiots in front of me.
That doesn't mean anything because you are perfect. You should have seen the look. You should have seen the look on Josh's face when I asked him a question about renting a car. I
don't even know where you're going.
But the thing was, I said something about sometimes they say it's in the airport.
Oh, and
then you went, I'm 30 years in, buddy. I'm 30 years in.
Right, because I'm saying, you asked me what time I have to go, and then I told you what time I'm leaving, and then you started going Jewish mom on me. Sometimes the rental cars aren't at the airport. They say they're at the airport, but they're actually far away with a shuttle bus away from the airport. And then,
that's exactly what I was
as if
saying.
I hadn't actually already rented the car at the airport and knew where it was.
Oh, because you did say that. You made one I would say it was a snide comment.
Because you never know. Sometimes you get so lost and you don't know where. Yes.
You said that I've already rented the car.
Right.
So don't I know where I rented it from?
And I'm going to the airport in my hometown.
But my question is, most people wouldn't even care about your car and your rental and being late.
Right.
You have a friend of yours who cares about you being...
Right. And then minute 6, I was like, okay, I think I know how to get to the airport.
All I know is it's not something your brother would have ever done.
No,
your
it's
brother...
He would have gone nuts in minute 2. He would have gone nuts in minute 2.
Unbelievable. Talk about a guy who's got everything Josh has, but is more outgoing, friendlier, and it respects me more. I think he respects me more.
Yeah, it's all fun until you realize he doesn't smoke pot.
That's not good.
Yeah, exactly. Back to Weinstein 1.
We're back on Weinstein. Is that Weinstein 1 Radio?
Weinstein 1 Radio, getting you pot since 1999.
You have to admit that you are. I'm just going to get this argument going for the podcast. Okay. You're a know-it-all. Nobody can tell you anything about. And this isn't really true, but in that moment, you were know-it-all. I couldn't tell you anything about rental cars in that one moment.
No, you really couldn't. No. That kind of advice does get under my skin pretty quick.
But wait a second.
It really does. It did it when my mom was doing it. You know,
why do you think
my mom and I worked it out? We haven't worked it out yet, apparently.
Now, what is it? Why? Okay, tell me why you. Now, I'll be a pop psychologist.
Okay.
Please call me Pop.
Okay.
Why does it bother you so much?
Well, Pop, it's...
You don't have to call me Pop.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm sure it's my ego lashing out, going, that's a vestige. I know that Joel Hodgson once did an impression of me at 17, and it was, I know. So
is that
I
it?
imagine that I probably sort of hold on to some of that, yeah.
Oh, you are holding on to an impression that Joel Madison did?
No, Joel Hodgson.
Oh, Joel Hodgson.
Yes, when he worked with me.
Who you see as your father.
Oh, God.
So, were you angry when he did that?
No, it was really funny because it was years later. Had he done it at the time, I would have been angry.
Well, people can't let stuff go would not laugh at the joke. They would go, I appreciate you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a person who can't let stuff go, but I am a person who, if you're giving me lots of suggestions, I start getting really tense.
Well, you know what you should do about that is you should listen. When someone starts giving you suggestions, you should listen to the first 4 and see if maybe something new.
Right.
Then if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
right,
then maybe you should start getting upset. But here's how, if it was about me, I've been in therapy for 3 or 4 months. I obviously am way ahead of you.
Sure.
In terms of my mental growth.
Of course.
Right? Because you had a therapy when you were like 9 or something, right?
A little older, but yeah.
With an older neighborhood
and
kid.
It was like once or twice.
With an older neighborhood kid who used a stethoscope. He said, I'll be young. I'll be young. You know what? You look pretty young. You look pretty. Remember we used to do that
Why
bet?
did you have to go there?
You're a Freud. And I'd say, you look pretty young. And we would go on for hours.
It was. Yeah. We would go on for Schopenhauer's.
Oh, I don't like puns. And I know you should do it. And also, people should know, since we're getting this off our chests, finally, we had a meeting with a Hollywood PR firm who said we have to have more conflict in our act.
Yeah. I can't sell supportive, they said.
And now, of course, I've forgotten what I was going to yell at you about.
Okay.
Damn it.
Me not thanking you profusely for your airport return advice.
No, it's something else.
Oh.
God damn it.
My brother being better than me? No, we
Your
shut
brother,
that down.
Oh,
We shut that down.
Just the image of him comes to my head now. And I go, yeah, Josh Weinstein.
Oh, he told me to say thank you for the flowers.
I picked up that tab, didn't I? I picked up some tabs.
Sure, you picked up the tab, sure.
I'm so excited when I get to pick up the check because I'm a big shot in general.
Yes.
Okay, what I would say, because if it was me, the reason why I get upset when people try, it's not so much that issue that people, I don't have that same thing. If someone wants to give me advice, I guess if it got into the area of where, like someone said, hey, can I give you a tip about holding the mic?
Right.
But
I did that.
Yes, but that was a helpful tip. You know how many times I've stopped doing that?
I just saw 2 people at small audience improv the other night
do the same thing,
locking into that same.
I think you're right, because it's not like I'm super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there's something uncomfortable. I'd rather be in a neutral, and this is all in my book. You should always start each comedy bit from a neutral position.
I had commented to Andy that there were times where he just would lock his arm and cross his chest in a sort of bar.
Right, and I make one joke out of it, which is that this is the turn and swivel, and I get $25 every time someone does it.
Right.
And it's kind of, I've locked, and if you want to try it at home, which is really good, you put your one arm across your body, and then you rest your elbow on it. You rest your elbow on it, and it tells the crowd, don't try to get close to me.
Right, exactly. But I admit I said it in a sort of theatery way.
I thought it was good because I took that was an excellent note. Now that's an example of, because I am so improved by therapy, and I guess I don't know if I told you this, but every day I've been upping my Prozac on my own.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm up to 300 milligrams.
Wow, I don't know what that means, but wow.
Well, you're not supposed to take more than 80 milligrams for.
Okay.
And people, if you're out there, don't do that thing where you do whatever the podcast tells you to do.
Right. I gotta believe they figured that out.
Comedian Andy Kindler said he ups it by 20 milligrams every day. But the point I was making was...
We haven't finished the story of you missing your set.
All right, so here's what happened. I never missed a set before in my life. I've only a couple of times missed the entire set,
right.
which was once for appendicitis attack, and then another one where I was actually sick. A couple of times I was sick.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? The show. You know who the person who had the show must go on?
Right.
Who is that idiot?
I don't know. Exactly. It's a club owner, I'm pretty sure.
The show must go on. Yeah, that's easy for you to say.
So I'm doing guest sets that night. I did a guest set that night, and Andy watched the set, and he comes off and goes, "I'm going to run back to the hotel while Erica Rhodes is on. She's doing 25 minutes."
Right.
And right away, the math in my head's going, "I don't know."
Yeah, but now tell them that it is close to.
It's close.
It's close.
We say it's a 5-minute walk. It's probably more like an 8-minute walk, as we find out.
Is it really 8 minutes? Yeah, I think I think that I didn't realize that the actual walking there and back
right.
is about all she wrote.
Right, exactly.
So I had my notebook. I dropped my notebook off,
Uh-huh.
and I watched MSNBC for a second.
Yeah.
And then I look, and I started my. Here's the reason why it was such a genius thing that I did. I started my stopwatch.
Yeah.
I started my stopwatch 1 minute after she started, which gave me another false cushion.
Right.
And I got back, according to my stopwatch, it was 24 minutes and 35 seconds
right.
when I arrived to the backstage area. Well, since it's not acceptable.
Right. So you're saying Erica was the unprofessional one in this situation.
Well, I tried to stick it on Erica because that's my...
Because you didn't get back in that much time because she got off and the MC had to do a bit.
No, but what I'm telling you is...
You walked in the door, maybe.
It was 24:30 on my clock that was started 2 minutes late. Right?
Right.
So it was
26:30.
26:30.
Right.
Can a woman stretch? So anyway,
and she actually felt terrible.
She felt terrible.
She got off stage and she's like, "Oh, maybe I was 30 seconds short." And I'm like, even if you were like 2 minutes short,
doesn't matter.
You aren't the unprofessional one here.
Yeah, well, she's very sensitive. Erica Rose, very funny, very sensitive, and you can hurt her feelings easily, and that's what I do.
Because I sense weakness.
When I sense weakness, no, but because she's very similar to me, I would also probably not be able to let that go. Her position in it.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't I want this one set say, is the next person here ready to go if I leave?
Right. That's the professional courtesy, isn't it?
Right. Now, Ali
Sultan.
Sultan. I don't know why I can't get the pronunciation. Did he say anything to you? Were you backstage when we noticed that I wasn't there?
Yeah, no, we knew it was about to happen.
And so what did he say he would do?
Well, I was actually talking to him and Lewis simultaneously, and he's.
You called Lewis on me? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Andy's not here. Well, the first thing I should do is let Lewis know. Unbelievable. Go tell Daddy.
So Ali says to Lewis, Andy isn't back yet.
Oh, my God. Now, tell me okay, here's another example
Okay.
where Lewis didn't seem that upset.
Lewis wasn't upset.
I know. Okay, so that's good
He
to
wasn't
know.
upset. But he knew it was happening as it was happening.
Okay, and so then?
Yeah, so he said, I don't think he's going to get back. And he goes, do you want me to, if he doesn't get back, do you want me to do another bit? And Lewis very humorously shakes his head quickly, no.
As a joke?
Yes, a joke. Which I got, but Ali didn't quite get it quickly. So that was the plan, basically, was that if you weren't back, he'd go on and do a bit, and Lewis would flip when you came in, when you decided to stroll in. Lewis would tell them in the back to flip the light for Ali. Meanwhile, I am watching with such complete glee.
Now, what was your glee based on? You knew I would come back.
I knew you'd be back. I just knew you'd miss the mark. And I knew that the set would be really funny once you did.
Well, you know what the problem is?
So I literally said, after you finally went on, notice I threw in that. I just said to Eric, I gotta go watch Flustered Andy.
Yeah, you had to go watch because I don't think I let it go the whole set or the reference.
You kept
the whole
coming
set.
back to it because it's one of those things that happens in dreams.
That's right. It's the forget because I've had that forgetting your lines.
Sure, I have too.
And that's the worst. And when it's going on,
I've been in comedy so long, I've had that dream for both Carson and Leno.
I've had it for a Western and an old
Sullivan.
And Sullivan.
Right.
But when I came into the club, Lewis was sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
In the and for 1 second, I guess that my mind wanted to make the most positive spin on it. I was like, "Oh, it's nice that Lewis hung around to say goodbye." I go, and he goes, "I'll tell him to stop stretching," and then my heart dropped. Lewis is everything. And then that was it. I mean, I'll never leave again.
And Lewis stayed to watch your whole set, I think, for the same reason.
Everybody wanted to watch. That was a reason. If you don't want to watch a comic, do another set. It's always fun to watch someone like me when I'm troubled.
Yes, it is.
Because it'll affect everything.
That was gold.
Oh, that was good. But this question still remains that it is in many ways your fault because you were late for our first lunch and checking out.
Our first lunch? You mean the last lunch of the week?
12:15.
When it didn't matter at all?
Then we did a podcast.
Right.
The Tom Bernard podcast.
Right.
Then we came back down and did our podcast.
Which you left during the podcast to do a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's another mess up I did, too. The Tom Bernard podcast. I have a problem. Maybe you can help me with this. Maybe you could help me with this and bore America at the same time. I have a problem. Everything I used to memorize, I never missed anything.
Yeah.
Because I'd memorize them. I'll never miss a gig, or almost never, because I won't forget that I have it.
Right.
But now it's more and more and more that way. And the things that I tend to really miss are the things that are appointments made during the day.
Right.
I should probably put them in some kind of a calendar.
Maybe you should. There are systems devised for those sorts of retention.
So my friend Michael Brooks, that's not Andy Levy.
Whoa.
Michael Brooks is not Andy Levy, Josh.
$100.
$100. And I'm going to do this every episode until it stops being funny, which it has. Right. And then
that's why I stopped leaving it in weeks ago.
You son of a bitch. Have you taken it out every time?
No. But I could.
What if I never asked you and then I said, Andy, what do you think? Shout it out every week.
I can't say I've left them all in.
You know what the thing that's amazing? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Everyone knows that Josh edits the show. He told me, would you stop mentioning that the show's edited every 3 seconds? But it's not edited for any other reason than to prevent you, dear listener, from hearing horribly boring things.
No, I think people kind of understand if they're like, and that's the shit they kept, that I'm getting rid of some gnarly stuff.
Now, you were nervous about the last show, the live show.
I was.
We were both nervous about it, but you were nervous about it afterwards, where I felt it went well.
I wasn't really nervous about it afterwards.
Oh, maybe you just don't like me.
I was just curious.
Maybe it was me again.
Felt. Yeah. No, it was fun. It felt like our show, except with you doing lots of bits from your act because there was an audience there. You
are. This guy's unbelievable.
You should
tell me one.
They've heard this already.
You tell me one goddamn bit I did in my act.
Oh my God! There's so many.
But they were just sprinkled tastefully throughout, right?
They were sprinkled throughout.
Well, I noticed you didn't have anything from your act you threw in there.
Well played, sir.
Well played. But I don't think. See, we've had 2 experiments. One experiment was, can we do a podcast after I've eaten a lot of edibles?
Right.
And Alex is visiting.
And I was the control group who didn't know until.
Yeah, you were the control group
who wasn't
didn't
told
know.
of the experiment until it was happening.
And then we go out and have a wonderful dinner, and then it's 4 hours later, and I don't even know my name.
Right.
That doesn't work.
That's not a good play.
But this live action situation that we had, I felt I wouldn't want it to be every show,
Right.
but it certainly would be something that I would pay even more than $7 for. Hey, where's my cut?
I don't know. You're the one who got paid out at the end of the week.
There was no listing. I didn't look. I don't think there was any line item live.
I don't know. Then you owe me $42.
No, I would not even want that money. Would you want the percentage? But of course, Alex of Showbiz Studios.
All right, he gets a little.
He
gets
went
to
a little
wet his
taste.
beak. He can wet his beak on that.
And when we say Alex is wetting his beak, we mean he's getting paid something. But when this thing takes off, you know what I mean?
$8-9.
I'm telling you, you told me this would be a gold mine.
I never said it would be a gold mine.
What if you had? I'd be the stupidest person in the world. I don't know about this. Trust me, it's a gold mine. It's like printing money.
I think I said this show will be enjoyed by people named Goldfine.
I was watching a documentary about Nazis, interestingly enough.
Huh, that seems odd.
And this Nazi group was called The Order.
Yeah.
And did you ever hear about them?
They were the ones who killed the DJ that we talked about on the last podcast.
Oh, I think they were.
Yes.
But we didn't say that last time, did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the hotel room podcast.
Well, then what was my anecdote going to be about it?
That sometimes you worry that there's no reason. In that case, it was, if they killed him, why not me? Was sort of the upshot of your concern.
Well, here's a show that I can't stop watching. It is a fantastic show.
Yeah.
But it will drive you crazy if you watch more than 7 episodes. Forensic Files.
Yeah, that's not my cup of tea.
No, it never is your cup of tea the first time?
No, I don't. I have no enthusiasm for murder stories, really.
You don't watch Dateline?
No.
You're friends with one of the Dateline guys.
I know. I don't think he listens to my podcast, so I think we're even.
Can I say who he is, or we can't mention it?
You can say.
Josh Mankiewicz, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Personal friends with Josh Mankiewicz. If I was friends with Josh Mankiewicz,
It's not
I would
like we're close friends. We've had lunch.
I would watch everything, and all I would do was spend the entire meal just plying him with information about the shows he's already done.
Yeah. Well.
Please don't ever have lunch with...
I was about to say, that kind of answers my next question. Do you want to have lunch with Josh Mankiewicz and
I do want to have lunch with him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have lunch with that to hunt the hunter guy. That guy...
Keith Morrison?
No, Keith Morrison is another Dateline guy, but he has a very relaxing sound. Well, so far so good until the morning... I don't do these impressions.
No, that was actually above average.
But my City Confidential guy.
That was a characterization.
That was a characterization. That was a recreation. But that guy I can do well. If you ever go to Andover, Massachusetts, you should try Mrs. Franklin's pie. She made the best pie. Now you see, he's black, the guy. All right. Can you tell that he's black?
You're pushing it more than you generally be comfortable with.
Now, when I say black, I mean, can you tell he's black? I mean, can you tell a white person is doing a black voice?
Ah, well, I could right then.
Because I don't ever
right then I could.
Unless you are an amazing impressionist,
yeah,
and you're actually doing someone's voice,
right.
It's just like when white people say, well, why can't I use the N-word? Because you can't.
It's not quite that, I don't think. I think, if you're doing a specific person's voice, it's good to try to sound as much like them as you can, but it's, it's
when
a slippery
I do Chris
slope.
Rock,
it's a slippery slope.
When I do Chris Rock, I purposely don't, first of all, I don't even think I can hear properly what his voice would be like.
No, but your joke is about his cadence.
It is about his cadence.
Right.
But Ollie, who we work with, he says he also has a very specific walk that he does, which I would like to add to that if I can look, and it doesn't look like I'm adding to it like that movie. I always saw the commercial for it, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Silver Streak.
And the promo was, we bad.
Oh,
I always hated that promo.
That was stir crazy.
Oh, it was?
Yes. That's right. We bad.
Now, was that scene funny in the context of the movie?
In the context of 1980 in the movie, it was, I mean, it's Gene Wilder, pretending to be bad. So
Yeah,
sure.
I would say I've never seen Gene Wilder and haven't enjoyed seeing him.
Right.
Now, did he die?
But it wasn't a good movie.
Did he die?
Yes, he did.
But he should not have died, Gene Wilder.
I agree.
He's one of those guys I would have rather kept
He should
going.
have been an everlasting gobstopper.
Right. But Andy Rooney, I wouldn't have minded if he died 10 years earlier.
If only we could do a fantasy football league in that sort of way with people.
I just want to let people know that I don't laugh fake. I may add some gravy to the mustache. Huh? So your hero got left the government.
Which hero?
Sebastian Gorka.
Oh, yeah. It was a sad day around the Weinstein house when that happened.
God almighty, I'm so happy. Yet Steve Miller continues. And a lot of people say, is that Steve Miller the same guy as it's unbelievable. It's the same guy who did Fly Like an Eagle.
Right. Not only is he a Nazi, but he tried to rhyme Texas and taxes. So.
Oh, how'd that go? What's that? What is that?
Billy Mack is a detective down in Texas. Lord knows just exactly what the facts is. Ain't gonna let those two escape justice. Makes a living off other people's taxes.
You can't tell me there's a line in a song. I love Steve Miller.
Sorry about that.
But that must be as a joke line, isn't it?
No.
Why is he doing taxes?
Because he's...
And the chorus, without singing it, because I'm not paying for it, is what?
I think you have to pay for the verses, too.
No. You could just say a couple of the words in the verses.
Go on, take the money and run.
Yeah, take the money and run. Right. He's not the same Steve Miller.
Oh.
He's not the same.
Oh, well, then we don't need any of that stuff then.
Now, do people know by the shows they've listened to that I fell on the escalator? Or I said it in an earlier show anyway?
Yes.
All right. Well, my wife has now discovered.
Because of the giant bruises on your body?
Well, yes.
Well, it's nice that she's seeing that much.
I tried to convince her that I was in a Marv Albert situation. I can't believe you laugh.
Yes, the backbiting. Yes.
Now, I happen to love Marv Albert, and I feel bad.
I love you, Andy.
But his whole thing was that the only thing I remember from that whole thing is that he said that the
sweet taste of backflash.
She couldn't have tried to rip off his toupee because it's not a toupee, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that was the only thing.
What I've always said
is pride in that whole thing.
Whatever you two consulting adults are doing behind closed doors and keeping from their spouses is fine with me. So yeah,
go ahead.
No,
tell this. No, I'm just.
Prodding
you along on the
all right. So
story.
I thought that I'd just keep my shirt on or something.
For a sitcom amount of time.
Well, first I had to go from my shirt I fly with. Now, let me tell you this, Josh, and I'm not. For some reason, you look good, but I don't look good in a t-shirt.
Yeah,
in a t-shirt. I've decided that men, when they get past a certain age, they just don't look good in t-shirts.
Okay.
Some do. Some do.
Right.
So I know I'm lying even when I say that.
Well, I don't, as long as I'm under that age, I'll just pretend that's the case.
No, I've never noticed it with you when you've worn T-shirts. But with me, the T-shirts are very soft.
Yeah.
And my supple nipples show.
Okay.
And nobody needs to see that.
No,
so
I don't even really need to think about it. Thanks very
Well,
much.
what happens is, let's say I'm playing, you're attracted to me, right?
Sure.
And we're playing a sport.
Yes.
And I'm starting to get hot.
Uh-huh.
And then you, because you're so attracted to me, go, oh my God, I think I can see his luscious nipples through the clothes.
And then what do I do about it?
Well, you would be, because it would be in this thing, you're gay.
Right.
Or attracted to me.
Sure.
You go, ooh.
Wait,
I don't know. You go, let me have those luscious nipples.
All right. Yeah, that sounds more like me than
ooh. But the other side of it is that, okay, so I have decided that at my age that I can wear a short sleeve shirt that's buttoned down.
Right.
And it's not like, thank God I'm not in my suit.
Right.
I actually like these Tommy Bahama type shirts. This isn't a Tommy Bahama shirt, but it could be.
Short sleeve button down.
Short sleeve button down. And then there's no problem. Nobody's going to see my middle as much.
Right. Okay.
Which is fine. I'm not ashamed of my body except constantly.
Right. Except for my body shame.
I'm not ashamed of my body except I don't want to. I want to be like like just so sexy in the stomach.
Right.
And it's not happening anymore.
Well, sometimes after 60, they say it takes an effort.
Will you stop being delighted by how old I am and how close I am to death and how far you think you're ahead of it? You're going to be feeling just like me.
You're a kidney ahead of me. I'm not. There's nothing cocky about
That's
my
true.
old.
Okay, that's right. If you've ever had cancer, you officially have one-upped me. So I wear these short sleeve shirts. So I figured I'd wear that. Keep that short sleeve shirt. Oh, no, I didn't wear a short sleeve shirt. I wore a heroin special back from Minneapolis.
What is a heroin?
The long sleeve shirt, so you can cover up your.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who else but me would call a long sleeve shirt a heroin special? Nobody. I was waiting to see if anyone called it.
Yeah, I scrolled through. There was no one.
But she did notice this one. That's what happened. I couldn't go with the long sleeve shirt look at night at home.
And so, what was her response? Concern.
She said, "What's
I'm
that?
guessing.
What's that?" And
Josh grabbed me.
Luckily, I don't know if she wants anybody to know this. This can't be bad. She put two cleansers near each other.
Yeah.
CLR, you know what that is? And bleach, just like near each other.
Yeah.
And the fumes, she almost fell asleep. So she was afraid to tell me that because I'm always insistent that when I'm gone, she can't hurt herself.
Yeah.
And only because
you are doing backflips on the escalator like an asshole.
I know, but that's the thing. The only reason I made the request that she not get hurt when I'm around is because I've watched too many Datelines.
Right.
Something happens. Is it that I love her? Partially, but they'll pin it on me.
Right.
I don't want anybody. I swear to God, this is a true story that will make me look bad, but it'll be more OCD wise. I was so high one night. I was backstage at Acme. I wasn't high backstage. Okay.
No. Wink.
I smoked out. I smoked wherever you're allowed to smoke, which is nowhere. And I was so high.
Neighboring state.
I start asking the people who were easily as high as me. I say, let's say I'm not lying about this. I say, let's say my wife did get killed. I came home and my wife was gone. Should I, when they say, do you want a lawyer first? Should I not get a lawyer because they're telling me that I'm lawyering up? Now, why am I asking these questions?
Yeah.
It's
a slippery slope once you start asking these questions. You know?
There's only two reasons why you would ask those questions. Because you're obsessive compulsive and you worry about anything.
Right.
And the second reason would be, and the more consistent reason with someone who asks, how do you plan to kill your wife?
Right.
And you want to know the best method.
Right. And the fact that you did all those web searches on the same questions.
Yes. I'm sure. Well, I'm always worried about web searches, but I only worry about them because I do a lot of Nazi searches.
Yeah. I think all it takes is one clip to go, oh, he's clean.
Or at least I'm not a Nazi.
Right. That's what I meant. I can't vouch for any other cleanness. So
then she saw me, and then because she had those two cleansers and got a little dizzy.
Yeah.
But then she had to use her
inhaler,
asthma inhaler. She was already feeling. Got her when she was like, well, then maybe. No, that's not what happened. She caught me still an hour later, but I don't know. I had a feeling because something happened to.
So you each had some.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You each
nice. Had concern for each other as a weapon at the ready, is what you're saying?
No, but I had to. No, I had to agree to make some changes that are real changes.
Okay.
And the changes is that I'm 60 years old. That I'm not saying that because I don't want to be cast in younger roles.
Sure, you could play 58.
Why will Jews always do a joke like that? You're 60, you don't look a day over 59. I think I heard Woody Allen do it first.
Yeah. Great, I'm a thief. Great.
So, no, you're not. But, I'm 60 years old, and sometimes I don't realize that.
Yeah.
So I'll get, like, when a plane stops, and I get up to get my stuff, I notice... If I not thinking, because I don't know that I'm getting older at all, I'll take my thing from the compartment, and then as I put it down, I feel like I'm going to go down.
Yeah.
All right? So, except for the fact that I probably do have a fatal disease that I'll find out about, some of it is just from being older and just giving your body a chance to warm up.
Right.
And then I've never worried about an escalator ever. I've never even thought about what to do if it starts to go south.
Right.
And what I did was everything wrong. Don't reach back for your luggage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be careful. And no, it's early in the morning. I haven't had enough sleep. I'd also like to get more sleep.
I think that's a good starting point.
But you know why I don't sleep is because I'm afraid I'm going to miss the plane.
Yeah.
You don't have that, right?
I used to. For some reason, I don't anymore.
Oh.
I used to be, whenever I was traveling the next morning,
You'd worry about it.
I would not sleep.
Did you ever? Oh, because you wouldn't want to.
I wasn't really worried about it, but I just, there was enough awareness that I had to be up at a certain hour that I never quite.
Have you slept through alarm clocks? I have.
No.
Okay, here's what I know so far that's happened in the podcast.
Wow.
I haven't asked about enough about you. How's it go? Enough about me. You talk about me.
Okay.
What's going on with you? What's new with you? I'm trying to learn how to be a host.
Yeah.
What's new with you? How's everything with you? Do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
I'd like to bring up Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that was
Andy
sad.
Kindler.
That was sad. I'm over it, though.
Andy Kindler?
Andy Kindler. Is he here? Doc is not here. Is Doc here? Doc is not here.
I came home on Friday. You stayed
Yes.
for the weekend for your
It
actual.
was a sad goodbye, too.
It was sad, wasn't it? Well, I'm not going to see you for 2 days, and we've only done 4 podcasts. Did the improv Saturday night? Did Laura House's
How'd that show go?
How to Hate Yourself? It went great. It was really fun.
And was it in the lab?
It was in the lab, and it was enough people to be fun, and had a good set. And
how was Laura's set?
Laura's set was really funny.
Yeah, she's very
She
funny.
did a video piece too to sort of introduce the show. That was funny.
I think it's a very good concept for a show. Everyone hates themselves.
It'll slot right into your thing too.
Yeah, what is the name of it? Why I Hate Myself?
How to Hate Yourself.
Oh, How to Hate Yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good name. But I didn't come up with it.
And people played to the premise to varying levels.
Oh, do you think there was some shirkers?
There were some shirkers for sure. For shirk.
Well, I don't want to do. It is true that I sometimes don't want to do anything other than a set.
Right.
You know, but
You could, but I think your
I
ability
would be
to
able to
free
do that one.
associate about self-hatred, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're in.
what's that?
You're in, is what
Oh,
I'm
this
saying.
is Ben Gurion.
Yes, well, that too.
My ability is I'm like a Ben Gurion when it comes to that. And that's it. That's all that you have. Did
You're
you have a fight?
begging for a fight.
Oh,
Let's do it. Let's do all the
People,
prime
let's
ministers.
not, because I happen to, if I was to engage in puns,
Yeah.
I happen to have taken some advanced classes in it.
Clearly.
We were talking about
Puns
a pun earlier
for fun
this
and
week.
profit.
For fun and profit?
Haha, see, you did do the advanced
Is that
class.
but wordplay is different. I think of
No.
John Lennon as more of wordplay.
Yeah, you like, and therefore that's what you do.
I'm just saying that everything I do is out of John Lennon's style.
All I know is you give me a ton of shit for puns or doing something from my act, and you do stuff from your act, and your act is puns.
I have a lot of puns in my act. For example, I would like to open up my own club, and I'd like to call it The Gamut, and I'd like to manage it so when people ask me what I'm doing, I'm running the gamut.
Right.
That's a perfect example.
There it is.
Oops, there it is. Huh?
Oh.
So it was a successful week in Minneapolis. Sold out. Every show was sold out.
Right.
And our podcast was sold out, interestingly enough.
Because we only made 15 tickets available.
Our podcast was not sold out. I didn't want it to be sold out. I mean, I would have liked it to be sold out. I just don't want, my whole thing is I don't want anybody to take a bath.
Yeah, I don't think anyone took a bath. But it was fun. I had a good time. It was really nice of people to come, I thought. There was even that couple there that never had heard the podcast.
Right, and then we had some luminaries in the crowd.
We did. Bill
Bill
Corbett
Corbett was
and
in the
Mary
crowd.
Jo Peele. My
Yeah.
Bill was sort of I think of him as a former coworker, but we never worked together on the show. And Mary Jo was in Cinematic Titanic.
Why do you lie about Bill Corbett? Have you worked on a project with Bill Corbett?
I've worked on many a pastrami sandwich with across the table from Bill Corbett.
Where were you? Where do you eat these pastrami sandwiches?
It used to be Solly's when he'd come to town.
Solly's?
Yeah,
Oh, the place you turned me on to.
clearly.
That place is
Solly's?
closed. That place is closed. Now, don't think that you're. And I'm so worried about this. Don't think you can start to gather information and track us down. I know that's what you want to do.
Right. We'll only talk about restaurants that are now closed.
Solly's is closed, and it was in the Van Nuys-ish area.
Yes.
I saw some
Van
things.
Nuys. That's how Van Nuys got its name. The Indians.
How's it go?
Look at this beautiful place, and the chief goes, "It's Van Nuys."
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
It's from an Alan Sherman album. How Van Nuys got his name when he's doing a live show.
Now I like it better.
Yeah,
I do like it better, but I think I don't think it's a correct premise.
It wasn't strong. It was an interlude between actual songs.
It's amazing how we have both, and my brother, and many people love Alan Sherman.
Yeah.
And I also love the Chipmunks.
Christmas, Christmas time is here. Time for joy, time for cheer.
Is that their song too?
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. I told the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said,
Wait, were they the original Witch Doctor, or they did a cover of it?
No, they were the original. David Seville.
I don't like that song. I love the song, the first song.
I want a hula hoop.
Oh, that's the greatest song. That's the Christmas song, right?
Yes.
You know, I imagine where we would be. We'd be on Easy Street if we had sped up something by mistake and thought it sounded cool.
Right.
Is that how they discovered it?
I assume so, but
you see, in a lot of ways, my dreams of you being the answer man has come up. I don't do these crazy voices,
right.
These morning zoo type voices that you're famous for. You do them.
Yeah. Did you think you were going to be the voice guy?
No, but I wanted there to be a voice guy and a sound effects guy.
Right.
What, I don't know if there's something that those things are called, but I almost always hate them now.
Yeah.
They're like the typical one would be like someone like a cop sound. Hey, Polo, you two stop that. Or it's a line from a movie.
Right. But they don't do that very much anymore, do they?
They do.
Really?
They do it on radio shows often.
I'm not out there in the heartland doing
Maybe they don't
morning
do that
shows
much.
anymore.
Maybe they don't do it that much. Actually, the podcast I enjoy, Too Beautiful to Live,
Yeah.
which I'd like to plug, anything but our podcast, they do use some of those, and it works. Because they use more like stuff from
It's more like
Chandler.
an episode of Dream On when they do it.
Oh, you have heard the show?
Dream On?
No, Too Beautiful to Live.
No.
Oh, you totally have me. I bought into that.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
I was just guessing that that's what it's.
The thing that's amazing is your guessing is better than some people's answers.
Wow.
Like if they're a child.
I must be an asset.
Well, there's no future for us in doing old voices.
Damn it.
Except our own.
Yeah, I was about to say, except Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen.
So
Andy Kindler.
So anyway, my wife
Andy
knows.
Kindler.
My wife knows everything about me.
Good.
That I fell in the escalator.
That's better.
And so I just told her, try to tell her I'm being beaten by someone.
Yeah.
I'm hiding it.
Right.
But I should be careful. No more Mr. Nice Guy on the escalators. But the thing about miscalculating time and all that is OCD, and I hope to have it cured one day. Not cured, but better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like some of this shit is mindfulness, for lack of a better word. You know, being more aware of your surroundings.
No question about it. And that's why part of the reason why I fell on the escalator. There's two things going on with me. I'm improving my mental health, so it actually allows me to stop doing so much obsessive thinking.
Right.
But sometimes I've replaced the obsessive thinking
with weed.
Or being like Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
You know, so I just don't know where I am, what I'm doing.
Right.
You have to know where you are.
Oh, I'll get my luggage. Oh, there it goes. Ah, me too. Oh.
Is that your Magoo?
No.
Why is it still considered okay to put down somebody by, like they do Bob Dylan, you go, can you do Bob Dylan? See? After they do the impression, you ask, can they do that impression?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Why did you just do it to me?
Because I'm less than. I did notice there's some developments in your neighborhood that I don't know if you've noticed. There was some construction in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And did that and this is how much I don't notice things. Did that construction result in a white picket fence?
I don't think there's a new white picket fence in the neighborhood.
That fence, that's a white picket fence, not on your street, but on the street that goes down to the big street, which is where I live.
Yeah.
On Comedy Avenue.
No, that's been there for a while.
Okay, well, I thought there was a whole bunch of construction dirt.
Yeah.
Who are those people keeping out? I think the reason is that it's a busy street. It's not that busy a street. But this street that I'm not going to say what the name is. I bet it's busier than you thought it was when you bought the place.
It's busy as a cut-through street.
That's what I'm saying.
But they shut it off. They actually
made a sign.
They do a sign where you can't take a right at a certain time in the morning, and then once or twice a month they'll set up a sting. And I can
true?
Stand in my office and watch them just like pull over person after person after person making that right
Have you
turn.
really caught them? Why don't you warn people on your ways?
I'll get on my CB and tell them.
You should get on your ways and you should say police reported ahead.
No, I don't want people cutting through. I like watching them.
There's something
it's my
sick
street.
about you
it's my
staring
street.
out your window like an old man.
Well, it's like every 3 minutes you hear, whoop!
You know, I don't. First of all, that's against the law that you can't make a right turn between. I'm one of those guys who thinks they know the law.
The Constitution says I can make a right here.
I'm
a sovereign citizen. I can make a right.
When did I pay my taxes become a weak comeback?
I don't think it ever really had much legs.
Well, if you listen to my father, in the days when people didn't complain about paying taxes,
right,
then I could see that they would use it as I pay my taxes.
Right.
But now, since your beloved GOP party has taken over control,
God bless them,
everyone's worried about their tax rate. The truth is, by the time I'm done with my taxes, which is late,
right,
I don't pay that high percentage.
Right.
And I make a lot of money. If I made a lot of money, do you think I would be still doing the podcast?
I don't think so.
Why would you say that? Shouldn't we be doing it for the love? I mean, we don't love it that much, you're saying.
Well, you wouldn't have moved into my neighborhood if you were really rich.
That's true. That's true. So it's really a false equivalency.
Exactly.
Well, it's not a false equivalency, but let's say it is.
Right.
Do you think if you do something wrong in calculus, they call it a false equivalency?
I don't know. I fell out of trig.
I thought you meant you fell out of... First of all, we did not take trig, right?
I took trig.
And you did well?
No, I passed because I was funny, and I stapled money to my final. Quite on, literally.
As a joke?
Yes.
And did the person laugh?
Yeah, as did the whole class and everyone they told about it for the next 2 weeks.
Oh my God, Josh!
I was sitting during the final. I'm sitting in the back of the class, and I'm literally giggling because this test is such
hard.
a foreign language to me. Like, I took a semester of trigonometry. I can't really tell you what trigonometry is. Can
you tell me a little bit?
Not really. Sine, cosine.
But what is it ultimately used for? Do you bake with it?
I think it's determining the area of like an arc.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm laughing. I'm sitting there laughing.
You mean you get pi?
It doesn't matter.
No, right. Yeah, so you're laughing.
And the teacher goes, "Josh, are you done?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm done." And I, proudly march myself up to the front of the class, and I put the test down on the table and like take a $5 bill and make a big show out of snapping, snap, snap, snap. And then I put it down on top of the thing just so everyone is watching, and chunk with the stapler, hand it in and walk out the door.
That is now. Were you nervous about doing that at all?
Not really, because I had established myself as willing to go for any joke in that class because I had no actual practical reason for being there otherwise.
And a nice teacher.
Yeah, he was an old school. It was really grudgingly that he laughed, but as I've said before, I always played to the teachers. I was I was always playing to them to see, A, that I wasn't hitting their breaking point,
right,
and B, that that was my target audience. So I Like he was really like an old school. When I talk about the My Pillow guy being like one of my teachers, he was kind of like that guy, but a math teacher. Like all my math teachers didn't think I was that funny, but I could get him occasionally. And the stapled money got him. So he gave me a D plus. It wasn't like
he actually out loud laughed when the money was stapled.
I think so. Yeah.
Now, did he give you the money back?
Yeah, like 2 days later, he saw me in the hall and gave me a $5 back. And said, "I'm passing you."
Oh man, so were you? How long? When did you start becoming? What do you call it? The class? Was it just in that class, or was it everywhere?
It was kind of. I mean, it was kind of. I mean, that was kind of how I got through high school. Was
being funny.
Was playing the rooms and trying to surf that thing between being a disruption and being an asset to the class.
Right. I did
and
that
only science teachers were the only ones who truly hated me, and a couple of them truly hated me
because you couldn't get any science.
Because I could get it, but I didn't care, and I didn't take it seriously. And
right.
I mean, like chemistry, I didn't do well doing chemical equations. Like anything where it's a really like concrete process involved, I'm not your man. I'm just not your guy.
Yeah, but I had chemistry.
I kept getting put in accelerated math.
Why?
Because I would test really well because you didn't have to show your work on tests. Because
Okay.
I could always figure out the answer, but I could never do it with the correct process.
How could you figure out the answer?
Because I'm just that kind of a mind, Andy.
Not with trigonometry, though.
No, but trigonometry, at that point, it's all process, and you're fucked.
Oh, so you are actually able to do well on tests?
I did really well on tests.
Without really trying?
Yeah.
What was your, do you mind me asking your SATs?
I don't remember my SATs.
Well, I do, Josh.
My SATs were not impressive, but I was also like out at a comedy club till 3 a.m., and drinking and smoking pot the night before my SATs. So.
1280.
Yeah.
640 on the oral, 640 on the written.
I remember mine was in the 12 somewhere too, and I remember somehow I got a higher math than I did verbal.
Yeah. And I somehow got the same math as I did with everything was. Now,
but I didn't care, I just
perfect is 1600.
Right.
And there are geniuses.
Now it's changed. I think now it's 1800. Now the scoring has changed.
That's the only thing that stopped me from being.
But I really did not. By that point, I was so sure I was going to be a comic, and I knew I was going to go to the University of Minnesota, so I didn't really give a shit about the SATs.
How'd you know you were going to the University of Minnesota?
Because I knew I could get into the University of Minnesota, and I knew I was going to stay in town and do stand-up.
Okay, because you're a resident?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it wasn't like that. There's 50,000 students at University of Minnesota. It wasn't like an achievement to get in. But I had a decent GPA. I mean, the only classes I didn't do well in was like math and science.
Yeah, I had a good. I mean, let's just talk about how smart I am. I'm not as smart as I'd like to be, but there's a part of me that thinks that nobody is smarter than me because I think it's bad to think that. I don't think I'm a genius.
Okay.
Right?
All right, I'll go with you on that. We'll just start at that premise.
But here it is. I don't think I'm a genius, but deep down,
I'm
better
a genius.
believe it.
Right, absolutely.
Like if I
But
write,
I mean, that's every comic, I think.
that's true. Because
Yeah.
I write a joke and I go, look, I know that there are many funny people, and I'm not saying I'm funnier than anybody else. And there's somebody else is saying, is setting up this imagined obituary.
Right.
He, more than anyone, was able to take a crowd from 0 to 60. There is
then
the
back to
ego.
0.
I don't think you can deny that you have the ego. I think, not talking about you specifically,
Right.
I think the danger is when you don't know you have an ego.
No, I think that's true. I mean, the lack of self-awareness is,
And I've seen comics who are hilarious, but be not aware of how they're coming across.
Absolutely.
So they must have that's a blind spot situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, everyone comes to stand-up through a different glitch in their personality as much as the history of comedy would have us believe it's all the same kind of broken damage. But
yeah, and also I would definitely say that you cannot make rules about why someone becomes a comic because there definitely were people who were not class clowns.
Right.
They may have been antisocial even.
yeah, I mean, for me, it was all about, I mean, the way I look at it psychologically is like laughter is approval. In my family growing up, laughter was approval.
Right.
Right. Like more than anything. If my mom was on the phone bragging about us, it was about something funny that we said,
Well, also as a social thing, it is something that it is of, without sounding like a jerk, it is of the highest value, I think.
Right.
On a personal level, to release the valve, but just to be able to have a different look on something, so that doesn't, to see the humor in something is almost by definition a sign of health.
Right. And
You know?
hopefully intelligence.
And hopefully intelligence. And
But I mean, for me, yeah, it's all. I mean, for me, it's like it's always been my only weapon. You know, like I think I had smart as a kid, but the only thing that made me like feel like I had something on somebody was my ability to embarrass them with a joke, or you know.
And I also learned the downsides of that when I would embarrass someone with a joke because I couldn't fight.
Right.
I learned on a couple of times that people who can't talk, who can't use their mouth as a weapon, at some point they transition to the physical.
Right. Yeah, I was never someone who would go for humiliation, but I think the sound of like a whole room laughing is intimidating to people if they imagine it happening to them.
Well, especially since you have belong to a lot of neo-Nazi groups.
Sure.
And there's a big difference between laughing and that's it. I didn't have the example. And people yelling "Jawohl," that wouldn't be it.
Yeah.
No, but I had to learn this lesson in my life, that I was scared of fighting, and that I would also, that I could, under certain circumstances, be cruel.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that I wouldn't do that as an adult, but I do remember, that's not true. I still get pleasure putting people down in a comedic situation.
Right.
If they're all agreeing.
Right.
But then I feel like it could turn very quickly. I don't want to do that all the time. Hey, dummy, give me some more cream.
Right.
That kind of guy.
I mean, I like to think of myself as always being, having a level of sensitivity, but I have friends who will tell me, stuff that I forgot long, long ago that stayed with them for 35 years.
About you?
About some really smart ass, sharp,
I think
sharp-tongued thing that I said to somebody, when we were 15, and it stuck in their craw for the rest of their life. And for me, I was like, something I tossed off.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody,
not that they're mad. They think it's funny, but I hear it and I go, yeah, wow, that was mean.
Right, but I think everybody has their own style. I, of course, am capable of doing many styles.
Sure.
That's why I'm a quadruple threat. But you are a wise guy, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, not really 100%.
Yeah.
But you are kind of a wise guy. So you kind of, part of your comedy, yes, it's true that you put me down a lot, that you belittle me, that you're
Put me down a lot, you belittle me.
that you, I'll never find that not funny. And then, you're always like, why don't you get me on Twitter? Why don't you look at how I do Twitter, Andy? I do it perfectly. Okay, Josh. Okay. So there is that personality you have where you're quiet. Like, you don't go into a party like me. Back.
No, our social anxiety manifests in different ways. Yeah.
So you're quiet, and then you give the person the old schmabumbi.
Right. Sure.
And I think the argument is how much rage is underlying the kidding. I don't think that much.
I don't think that much. I think that's how I get away with it, quite honestly.
But I imagine
I'm not a rageful dude.
I imagine. Well, would you call me a rageful dude?
No.
Now, be honest. You can be honest.
No, I don't
Not
think
that honest, though.
I don't think rageful, really.
I'm not rageful, but I'm...
volatile?
I think I could be volatile. I'm quick to anger.
Yeah.
I'm slow to anger and quick to anger. And that's what I'm trying to learn about. Like, I've had a couple of arguments in the last couple of months where I've just got a little annoyed at somebody.
Yeah.
And then immediately feel guilty about it or express frustration.
Right.
And that's okay. Because one of my beliefs is that in my family it was like, you're never supposed to rock the boat. And if you do rock the boat, you better be right, like Jesus was right. You know what I mean? You got to really be, and that's the black and white part of life that I think is so hard to live that way, that I'm letting that go, and I'm accepting all types of people. Like a person like you, I would never have been close to someone like you.
Understood. I'm a Weisenheimer. I'm a smart ass.
I mean, who could take how cruel you are to people?
I know. Little circus guy.
I have done. What'd you call me?
Little circus guy.
I don't get that.
It's just a little.
Because I'm a small man that you could bounce around.
Yeah, like a circus performer.
Well, the main thing that I'm saying is, why do I always think that after we talk about something, I have to be the segue guy? Why aren't you moving the show along more? I've got a lot of emails to me separately from you,
Right.
saying you're the best, you're carrying him. I'm surprised you haven't had to have back surgery because of how much you're carrying him. How do you deal with his peremptory?
You think I'm going to help you with this?
What is the word, though?
I'm not going to help.
Perfunctory?
I'm not helping.
With his perfunctory. You know, Andy, he doesn't really listen to you. This is just things that people have been emailing me. I don't tell you about them because until the right time.
I'm not hearing anything in my earphones right now. I'm just hearing just.
Do you know that I still think it's funny to say, I can't hear, la, 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 la. I still think that's funny.
When deployed correctly, I still do too.
Have you, okay, without mentioning names, because I won't mention names, but then people will be wondering who I'm talking about. Have you had, and I'm not talking about anybody, but have you had friends through life that you were scared would hit you? And you actually liked them, but you were scared that they had a violent side.
No.
You don't, there's nobody in your life that way?
There's no one who I've ever spent any real time with that I had any sort of fear for my safety with. No.
That makes me think that you've lived in a soundproof room your whole life. If you tried to put together a band or you've tried to do anything like a club, there's always, you've never been with a guy who you're like, I wouldn't want to push that guy. There's something off about him.
Oh, no, there's absolutely people who I feel like were capable of unreasonable violence. I just never worried that it would be directed at me.
Oh, so when you used to hang around with Manson, you told me you used to hang around with him because you liked his music.
Right.
You always disapproved.
And he said, I like your comedy to me, so I thought I was cool. I was fine.
And you just decided, let's not talk about the other stuff.
Exactly. The same way I don't talk politics with my uncle.
So you knew, look, he kills others. He doesn't kill myself.
Well, he doesn't kill. He sends others. They choose to kill on their own.
There was I don't know if you should be worried about this, but there was almost a time period where I bought into his philosophy. No, that's not true. But who's the one who said, like, there are some people who collected his stuff. Oh, this is the Black Flag guy. Was joking about producing one of his albums.
Who, Henry Rollins?
Yeah. But he was doing it as a goof.
Ah.
If you can't goof with Charles Manson.
Right.
When I was in college and as a younger person, probably because as you go get older, you're able to make sure that you don't put yourself in those situations.
All right.
But there was, like, for example, at Binghamton, there was one fraternity. We only had, I don't even know if there still is a fraternity there, but they were many of them were mean and looking for a fist fight.
Right.
So I remember in my life having situations like, don't go down this block. But now...
So were you tempted to join so as not to be prey?
Oh, no. No, but it's the fear of getting beaten up.
Yeah.
By the bully.
Yeah.
And, like, getting yourself involved in it somehow.
Yeah, I've always been big, so...
That's probably... You've always been big. You never felt... Here's the thing. I spent 4 hours trying to figure out why you can't feel as cowardly as me.
Right.
So, but you never felt scared physically.
It's that 6 inches and 100 pounds I have.
Your penis?
Yes.
Was that a penis joke?
No, it was an actual, I'm 6 inches taller and 100 pounds more than you.
Funnier than me?
Well, no, that you're 10 pounds of funny in a 6-pound bag.
I love things like that come off the top of your head.
My brother would have been way slower with that.
He would do what?
He would have been way slower with that.
Yeah, the thing about your brother is I do acknowledge in certain level there are certain types of things that he wouldn't be as good as you as like it being hot, like constantly picking at me. No, well, here's the thing. All kidding aside, which is what people thought we should call the podcast.
Right.
I was not pleasantly surprised, but I was I was excited to meet your brother. It doesn't always happen that way, where you meet someone who's a brother of somebody, and they're that much more interesting. No, I mean, he's a great guy.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
He is a great guy. He is,
really cool.
and he's an incredibly smart guy and an incredibly knowledgeable dude, too. And I say that with no irony. I mean, he's a really,
He talks about topics. He's one of these people who can talk about philosophy, epistemology, pedagogy. In other words, I could ask him, instead of doing what... I always want a situation where I don't have to look anything up.
Right. Well, I was about to say your version of talking about those things is, what's epistemology? What? It's asking me. That's what it was.
Okay. Let me tell you something. That's not what it was at all. I was trying to find out whether it was a Greek derivation for the word epistemology, whether it came from the French. No, I never heard. I never had heard, and now I don't even know what it means now that he said it.
Well,
I don't even know what pedagogy means. I have to go look it up again.
Okay.
What's epistemology?
It's the thing that... Ask my brother.
Oh, why didn't you ask your brother that? When do you think that voice became popular to mock somebody and say, hey, you better than that?
When do you think that voice became popular? I'd say somewhere around 1956.
Now, if you're going and editing this stuff and there's any slow spots, it's not me. It's you with the back to 1956. Everything I've done has been right on.
What year were you born?
1956. It really is getting to be that you being younger than me is something you actually think is hilarious.
No.
Are you afraid that I'll die first? I don't think I'm going to die.
That's good.
This is my whole thing. I cannot remember. Like, everybody knows who Muhammad Ali is, right?
I think you'll live a long time if you take elevators more, and
What does that mean?
it's as opposed to escalators.
Oh, I've been taking stairs more, and I found the part of your apple. I got your joke finally.
Yeah.
I found the part of the apple that records the iPhone that records how many steps you've taken.
Yeah.
You don't have to manually control that.
Wow.
So one day, Thursday, when we did the 2 podcast, I climbed 13 stairs that day because I try not to take the elevator because my knees are okay, and I do no exercise.
You climbed 13 stairs?
No. I climbed 13 flights.
Okay.
And they don't count down. How did they know? Is there a small, tiny man who lives inside the phone? He's on a stair now.
It's like...
It is amazing how, people say it's not that amazing about technology, but it is amazing because it wasn't that long that you couldn't do anything with your iPhone. I remember not being able to do anything with it. But now, even someone like me, it must have been made for me because I always have trouble with the first direction, walk towards something street.
Yeah.
Now, but they say walk towards something street now. But they used to say walk north.
Yeah.
How would you know that? Do you think we should do a separate show of top? Do you ever buy in the airport?
Here's our new show, Things You Didn't Know Were Hard, with Andy Kindler.
Well, do you ever buy, and I will admit to this, I'm not afraid to admit some foibles. I always will buy, 6 times a year, I will buy a Mac computer magazine or Mac Life, and it says like 50 ways you're not using the apps you thought you could.
Okay.
And I always think I'm going to go through that and find out a new trick.
Right.
Do you ever do that?
No.
Would you say you're computer savvy?
I am not. Well, I rise to my task. Whatever I need to do, I'll figure out.
But these young kids, they are born with the knowledge. These young kids are born wanting to film themselves.
Yes.
But we don't think of ourselves as out of touch, though, right?
No, not at all.
I don't think of myself any different than I've ever thought about myself, except you know what I mean? Like, I always thought when I would get older that I'd be walking around going, meh.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can. Kids, I'm tired, kids. How's my old man?
You got Irish? That's
Old
what you were
kids.
worried about?
I'm so tired, kids.
Always after my Lucky Charms.
Don't you feel the same way you've always felt?
I don't know. I
think I'm lying about that.
I don't know. I mean, there's that. I'm not one of those people who struggles with, I don't want to be a grown up. I feel like it's been enough time realizing that there's never going to be a time where you feel like a grown up. In terms of like, I don't feel that much different internally than I did at 15 or.
I feel I'm happier than I was.
Yeah.
But I'm happier than I was, but not that I'm going to die. I'd like to be as happy as I am now and be 21 again with less insecurities. What would I do at 21? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like at this point, at 46, it's, I've buried 2 parents. I've buried 2 in-laws. I've raised a kid. I have a house. I've been a fucking murdered
Let me ask you a question. Were all the
foreman.
people dead that you buried, or were some of them?
3 out of 4.
You've gone through. You've had a lot of pain in your life.
Well, it's just. I mean, it's not even. It's like everything that you'd worry about. I've been audited. I've had cancer. I've had. It's like I've been tested with.
Yes.
Can you fucking get through this? And I don't mean to sound like I'm. Such
Superman.
a soldier.
Yes.
But I do feel battle tested at this point. So as a result of all of that, I feel different.
Right.
I feel like I've changed, and I feel like for the most part, I feel like I can handle whatever life throws at me. God forbid I'm wrong, and knock on wood that nothing does more. But I mean that to me is like the best place you can really get to is I'm going to be able to handle the next fucking thing.
Yeah, and I also think that being worried was my root problem, and so not being worried, I just thought that I'd always be worried. But now that I'm learning that you actually can, through your mind and medicine, you can actually look at your own thought processes sometimes and adjust them. So I feel better than I've ever felt. Now, that's not always true with people. Lenny Bruce, when he got past 60, he was dead.
Right. But I mean, I think, for me, it's like that's part of that stress that comes out when people are giving me advice, I think, is that, is that I'm trying to have this baseline belief that I can handle shit, and someone's giving me this message that they don't think I can. And I think I'm rubbing, those two things kind of rub against each other.
Well, you see, what that would normally go to would be to something from your childhood. Because, like, for example...
No, I think it is. I think it absolutely comes from my mom worrying about every fucking thing. And me going, this is not necessary to worry about every fucking thing, Like, so what if I'm cold? Leave me alone, was kind of how I felt growing up. And she kind of ultimately got that about me. And we just came to this understanding where she had to say these things. I would let her say these things, but she'd know I wasn't listening, but we were at least courteous enough to each other to like let each other do their thing,
Right. So that's actually different. Like I'm coming from, I'm going to give Josh this tip that he probably doesn't know. Well, the problem with that is, why would I think that everybody has a rudimentary grasp of everything like me? For some reason, well, I can always justify why I asked something.
And by the way, I wasn't actually annoyed, but at a certain point, I wasn't, I wasn't enjoying it either.
The one point you made was so solid, which was like, you kind of like said something to me that made me realize that's something I will worry about, having no knowledge of what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I still have to really say, this flight's at 1 o'clock from Minneapolis. I left at 10 o'clock to get to a 1 o'clock flight because they closed some of the in Minneapolis. They're working on some of the TSA lines.
And I almost actually called you from the airport to warn you that the TSA line was out. And I was like, well, that would make me a hypocrite. So I didn't do it.
Why would that? Oh, I see. Oh, were you almost late?
No, I wasn't almost late, but I was. I mean, it took longer than I thought it would, but I was.
Did you know that they had shut down the?
No.
You didn't?
No.
That's interesting, Josh, because before I travel, having been in this business so long, I always check with the advisories from the airport. So the truth is that maybe your mom was worried for a good reason.
You know what, Andy? Before I travel, I buy a first-class ticket.
Oh, my God.
It doesn't really end up being that much of an issue.
Oh, my God. I didn't really. Do you really buy a first-class ticket?
Yeah, I did for this trip.
So you're saying you hate poor people?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying if you're poor, don't fly? Well, you have aches and pains. This is the thing I never realized. When I would fly first class, and a lot of it was because my brother paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because, and I feel guilty whenever I get upgraded. This was a situation this week where the coach ticket was literally $200 less than the first class ticket because I wasn't staying over a Saturday. So it was a no-brainer choice. Oh, yeah, that isn't a lot of money. No.
Yeah.
You're saying you went with the better ticket.
I went with the better ticket, yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say again.
Your brother, you're usually flying. If you flew first class, you'd feel guilty. Your brother would pay.
But when I'm in the first class and the business class, this is so sad. Do you ever see Abbott and Costello? Do you ever see that time period where Bud Abbott had to keep reminding him about what the bid was? You were talking about being on a baseball team. You were talking about not knowing the names of the
What?
I don't know. No, so a couple of times I've been in one of those sleeper things.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, how can anybody operate this? I'm swimming. And I have to remind myself I'm a short person. That for normal-sized people, normal people do not have to use an Apple box to turn on their overhead light.
This is true. But no, we can't sleep in the overhead compartment either like you.
Right. And in general, for all the times that I haven't been able to get something from a high shelf, I'm much happier not requiring more leg room. And I'll tell you something. My wife asked me about more leg room on my wedding night. Okay, let me ask you a question. I told you, why do I have to preface everything with let me ask you a question? Doesn't that take more time?
It does.
Here's my fear, and it's not you. My fear is that you, as representative of the universe, are any moment going to say, enough already. You're too annoying.
No, it's never going to happen. I'll write it in my journal.
It's not going to happen because you're afraid of this incredible podcast going away?
That's it. That's my biggest fear.
So let me ask you a question, and then let me ask you a question without prefacing it with let me ask you a question.
Okay, try.
How long have we done so far tonight?
We have done more than enough.
Do you feel that there was an arc to the show?
No. I feel there was a right angle to the show.
Do you feel like when I get home
But then again, I can't do arcs. That's trig.
That's a trigonometry callback. Well, do you think people should know where to contact us?
I would hope they do by now, but I'm going to repeat it anyway.
Okay.
It's thoughtspiralshow@gmail.com. We like hearing from you. And
I never told you the thing that I accomplished. That
you did, actually.
What was it?
That you returned one email with
No.
like a thanks exclamation point,
No, and then the other thing
I
is-
forwarded it along.
The other thing is I put Thought Spiral on my Twitter page.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We did?
Yes. I
God
said you
d-
tweeted instead of retweeting a promo for the show.
No, that's not it.
Oh, you put it on your actual
yes,
thing? Oh, very
baby.
nice.
I took off.
Welcome to the team, Andy. Welcome to the team, my friend.
I took off nails because I do nails professionally.
Right.
And now I put down podcast, boom, or whatever, and the thing.
Nice.
It only took me about an hour and a half.
Nice.
So things should be, and I also took off the
You're making parentheses. Hands here.
I took off the parentheses from my name because I felt I did that long enough.
Okay, yeah, good.
And now I'm going to go more, try to attract Nazis.
Right. Now you can just flank it with Pedro the Frog.
It's Pepe, I thought.
Pepe, right.
A lot of people are going to be going,
Sorry, I confused my hate symbols. I apologize.
people are going to be going, oh, maybe they'll talk about Pepe the Frog next time more. There's so much to look forward to.
There really is. A good show. There's something to look forward to.
We might do another live version.
We might someday. I don't know.
These are the worst cliffhangers. Next time, listen next time on Thought Spiral and find out how many times Andy says, "What was I saying?"
That's right. On the next Thought Spiral, it's here. Smell this.
Andy falls for there's something on your shirt joke. Right. Do you still do that?
Always. That's how I know if someone's cool.
Isn't it true that you met Barack Obama and you did that joke with him?
I did. I did something on your tie. In his
the Secret Service came after
right.
you. Oh, I can't fool around with the president?
You got something on your tan suit. Boink!
And they didn't find it funny.
They didn't find it funny. They tackled me and put their knee on the back of my neck.
Do you have a good ending for this week's show?
I always have a good ending.
Okay.
It's always in my back pocket.
Oh, you mean you write some endings?
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. I'm taking out.
Can't you take a class? I mean, Michael, you think Michael Winslow? Now, for those of you who are at home and you don't know what he's doing, he's opening up a piece of paper.
Piece of paper.
I think the catchphrase is the best way to end. We still need to go. Until next time, may all of your
Yeah. Right. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. All right.
Stupid. But it's not going to work. Your whole thing is, we have to have something hilarious happen every week to end the show.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
It's not going to work. But I think if we wait just one
more Don't.
No, you forced it.
No, I forced it.
You did.
So, in other words, let's end it, but not with me saying second.
Right. You know.
It's just
I know where I can cut.
You can do it later.
I make the cuts.
You can engineer it later, right?
Exactly. I know exactly how to edit things perfectly.